Now, when you think Shaw Brothers, you think whoosh, you think action, you think martial arts. Usually, I do. I know Shaw Brothers did a lot of things that were not martial arts. They did musicals, they did romantic films, they did dramas, they did comedies, they did all kinds of stuff. But people usually think of Shaw Brothers as martial arts. So it's interesting now to see 88 Films releasing one of those non-martial arts Shaw Brothers titles from 1983. This is Hong Kong, Hong Kong. This is a romantic melodrama that's really good. I just watched this last night and I'm still thinking about it. It is a Blu-ray. It is 97 minutes long. This was directed by Clifford Choi with Cherie, Chung, Alex Mann, and Lieh, who you would recognize again. Maybe, and there is some fighting in this movie. It's not a martial arts film by any stretch of the imagination, but there's some fisticuffs at one moment where a guy uses a little martial arts, and one of the characters goes on to try to be like a Thai boxer or a kickboxer. So there is fisticuffs in the film, but it's not really what the movie's about, and they're not big set pieces. So I say that because Lieh is somebody you will recognize if you're a fan of 70s martial arts films and Shaw Brothers films. It's presented in Cantonese 2.0 with optional English subtitles. It is an amazing transfer. This transfer looks really good. This is one of those where the movie doesn't necessarily look old. It does in terms of hairstyles and cars and technology, but it looks like it could have been shot yesterday. Oftentimes, and this is the case with these new releases, these new celestial masters of older Shaw Brothers titles, they go back to the original preprint film elements. They go back to the film elements with and restore them so they look unbelievable, but they don't include the original titles. So the opening and closing titles, or at least the opening titles of this film, or video generated recreated titles, which disappoints me a little bit, but at the same time, what is behind those titles looks better than it's ever looked, because you're not looking at an optically printed degraded version of the footage. So take with that what you will. It's not a big deal, but just pointing it out that that's, if it looks a little off, that's why. So the film is a little something like this. Young woman, early 20s, late teens, from the mainland China, comes to Hong Kong to try to find a better life. She is poor. She needs an ID card. She needs a government issued ID, and she can't get that by just showing up. And she has to basically work her way or marry her way into being able to do that. She winds up living in, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. She winds up living in a flop house with criminals and people just having sex all around her all the time. Maybe they're prostitutes. Maybe they're just doing that to earn their keep. She is one of several people who's in this position, and amongst people who were previously in that position. She winds up, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. She winds up being, having a marriage arranged with a much older, borderline senior citizen man who's looking for a woman to sire him a son and an heir in exchange for room and board and money and being able to get that ID card. And she, along the way, meets up with a young guy who's in sort of similar situation, and in terms of being just broke and trying to, he's a gambler, he's a street tough. He finds his way to becoming a boxer for money for a crooked mob boss. And will he, win the big tournament and make enough money to take her out of her situation and get her off to America? It's not really, as I said, it's a drama, it's a melodrama, it's almost like a soap opera in many ways. It's really good. Like the people in it, there are some situations where it's so melodramatic and extreme you might find humor in it, but when there are martial arts, it's very good. Acting across the board is really good. It's a great look at the underbelly of 1983 Hong Kong. Like, it starts with this really impressive crane shot way up above all the buildings in a seedier area of the city of Hong Kong, or the city area of one of the city areas of Hong Kong, let's say. I don't want to be too inaccurate here. And it just descends through tower blocks of apartments and businesses and things like this down to just the dirty, filthy area that these people are living in. And it really plays up the squalor. A lot of the Hong Kong movies you watch, it's glitz and it's glamming, it's the shopping areas, and it's where the jet set go, and this is the absolute opposite of that. And it's just, it's depressing, it's sad, it's harrowing at times. There's nudity, but not really. It's very brief and fleeting. It's not salacious in any way, and it's interesting. It's just, if you're a fan of horror movies, you might like this just because it crosses the line into really depressing and pitiful existence of some of these people, and that plays on some of the same things you would get your little dopamine hits out of in a horror film, where you're just like, wow, I didn't expect to see that. And the relationship between the two leads, sorry, I have to check again, Cherie, Chung, and Alex Mann works great, and I thought this was really good, and Lieh is very good in this film. So this was very unexpected for me. This was not something I'm used to getting to review, or getting to review in terms of receiving to review, or having the opportunity to review, as far as Hong Kong Shaw Brothers movies of the 70s and 80s that aren't just kung fu movies, which I love, but I like Hong Kong cinema in general. So highly recommend Hong Kong. So the extras, we have a commentary by journalist David West, who's somebody I hadn't seen in a commentary, heard in a commentary before. Very interesting. He gets into all kinds of things about the characters, the situations, what life was and is like in Hong Kong, and for people in these situations, and the actors and their filmographies and things like that. Talks nonstop through the whole thing in a good way, and is interesting throughout. You get Alex Mann on Hong Kong. This is an interview done by Frederick Ambrosine, and who has a lot of, I think he's just been doing this ongoing project of interviewing Hong Kong actors, and a lot of his work winds up on these releases, which is great. It's from 2012. It's 18 minutes long. That is the interview with the male lead in the film. You get the trailer, which is a minute, and was created for the DVD in 2005. I don't really care for those trailers because they feel modern. I like the original trailer personally. And you get a still gallery that's 2.5 minutes that is set to the score of the film. So let me show you what this looks like. Again, I don't know if you'll be able to get it from what you're seeing here, but this is a slipcase, and that is printed on like metallic paper. So it has an interesting little sheen and gleam to it, front and the back there. We slip off the slipcase to reveal the same cover minus the metallic aspect to it. Crack it open, and we get that's our male lead there after is it a successful or is it a not as successful boxing match? You have to watch the movie to find out. You get the reversible cover, which has the original poster art there, which you see our two leads being impassionata. And then it comes with this, which 88 sometimes does. So this is a mini poster printed on very thick matte finish stock. And on one side, you get the newly commissioned artwork for the film. And on the other side, you get the original poster, which is a nice touch. And for people like me who love films and love collecting things regarding films that we like and the peripheral releases, be it a soundtrack album or a poster or a novelization or whatever, a lot of that stuff is really hard to find and really expensive. So if I can get a small version, even if it's just the cover, I'm a happy guy. So available now on Blu-ray from 88 Films is the really good Hong Kong drama, melodrama, romance, Hong Kong.